The best strategy, even though it might be a little bit cliche, is like something to do with nonviolence.
We believe that the thesis of the speech is that one can't have partial freedom, one can have complete freedom and equality or none at all, and the ballot is the means to this.
One of the lines that creates ethos in this speech is, "All of this has built up frustrations in the Black community that makes the Black community throughout America today more explosive than all of the atomic bombs the Russians can ever invent." This quote shows that Malcolm was aware of what was going on in the Black community and how most Black people were reacting to the treatment they received at the time. It was also evident that he had plenty knowledge on the Black community because he shined light on their dangerous potential, saying that it could be more explosive than atomic bombs.
Here are some quotations from the speech that are meant to induce pathos from the audience. The first quotation invokes pathos from the audience because by saying that the Black community is fed up, Malcolm may have provoked pity among some of the people that had been mistreating them. He also described the treatment towards Black people with a highly negative connotation, which might have also induced guilt. The second quote uses pathos to convey a sense of frustration that the audience can relate to, and they help support Malcolm X's argument by framing it as something that will put an end to these frustrations.
One of the quotes in this speech that contains logos is, "Historically, revolutions are bloody. They have never had a bloodless revolution or a nonviolent revolution. That don't even happen in Hollywood." In this quote, he's examining the revolutions that had already occurred in order to lay down the foundation of his own proposed revolution. He pointed out that there had never been a revolution that did not involve violence, rather than having hope in democratic change. Another quote that contains logos is, "You don't have a revolution in which you love your enemy, and you don't have a revolution in which you are begging the system of exploitation to integrate you into it." What Malcolm is saying is that when one is revolting against a certain group, it is unlikely that they have any fondness towards the people in it. In these words, he implied that the purpose of revolutions is to remove faulty systems, not join them.
Finally, the rhetorical devices used are anaphora, metaphor, metonymy, and antithesis. Anaphora is used to separate three different sentences. They each begin with "they've become," followed by an adjective used to represent the Black Americans' change using the prefix "dis." Next, the metaphor "racial powder keg" is used to describe the African American community during the Civil Rights Movement. Because of the explosive political climate, this is an important key metaphor to use to describe, as they are a community that is readily available to explode if demands are not met. Following metaphor comes metonymy. Metonymy is used to show how the racial powder keg goes off. The racial powder keg goes off as metonymy is used in other instances as the White House speaks. The racial powder keg is a group of people, though somehow it can go off. It stands for something much larger than just a powder keg. And it doesn't care who knocks out of the way, as it knocks out any race that stands in the way of their freedom and liberty. Finally, the most rhetorical of these devices is antithesis. Antithesis is used to contrast these two ideas of a ballot or a bullet, or liberty or death, or democracy or demise. The ballot represents liberty, and the bullet represents death. The ultimate message of Malcolm X's speech.
America today finds herself in a unique situation. Historically, revolutions are bloody. Oh, yes, they are. They have never had a bloodless revolution or a nonviolent revolution. That don't happen even in Hollywood. You don't have a revolution in which you love your enemy. And you don't have a revolution in which you are begging the system of exploitation to integrate you into it. Revolutions overturn systems. Revolutions destroy systems. Why does it look like it might be the year of the ballot? because Negroes have listened to the trickery and the lies and the false promises of the white man now for too long. And they're fed up. They've become disenchanted. They've become disillusioned. They've become dissatisfied. And all of this has built up frustrations in the black community that makes the black community throughout America today more explosive than all of the atomic bombs the Russians can ever invent. Whenever you got a racial powder keg sitting in your lap, you're in more trouble than if you had an atomic powder keg sitting in your lap. When a racial powder keg goes off, it doesn't care who it knocks out the way. Understand this, it's dangerous. And in 1964, this seems to be the year. Because what can the white man use now to fool us? After he put down